All right, guys, this is so exciting. So, today we're doing something a little different. Normally, you see me by myself kind of waffling on about my tips and strategies about online marketing and social media marketing. But today, I have a special treat for you guys. We have a special guest, Mr. Bradley Morris, who I'm going to give him the floor in 1 minute, but I want to give him this amazing introduction because he is amazing. I had the pleasure of going on Bradley Morris's Making Magic podcast back in March. And today he's going to be sharing how you guys can thrive in your business without social media, talking about why he left social media for well over 6 years, which is so fascinating, and also some alternative strategies, effective strategies that you can use to grow your prosperity without the need for social media. So, this will be really interesting. And a little bit more about Bradley. He is a prolific creator, a business coach, a creative director, and executive producer at MAJIK Media, where he has been supporting creators and independent educators to produce transformational learning experiences that provide the necessary income to live a purposeful, passionate, and fulfilling life for almost 2 decades. And he also runs an accelerator called the Creators Club. And lastly, in 2021, he and his 6 year old son launched a story company called MAJIK Kids. Bradley, we are so excited, so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you everybody that shows up to this presently and in the future. Yeah, I'm really grateful that we've connected, and I mean, this is definitely going to be an alternative conversation to the ones that I'm sure you typically have around social media, because that's just not my jam. So hopefully, together we can cover all grounds. You can provide the social media strategy, and I'll share all the ways that I've learned to grow Majik Media year after year without the need to be on social media, which I know a lot of people are curious about. Like, how do we do this? If social media died today, what would we do? How would we grow our businesses? And hopefully I can fill in some of those gaps.
That'll be awesome. I am going to add, do you want to go through the slide deck? I can add that to the stream.
Yeah. I've got a slide deck here, which is I had a lot of fun putting this together. We've got this little character that's going to go on a journey here. So, can you see my slides here?
I can see them. Yep.
Awesome. So, my first question, I mean, a lot of the times when I deliver this presentation, I think I've delivered it to several thousand people so far this year. A lot of people that I've found are wishing that they could escape social media. And so if you're on the chat here, if you're tuning in, just ask yourself this: why do you want to get off social media, if that is, or why do you want to cut back on your social media? I would love to know. So, Chris, if anybody ends up chiming in as people come log on,
Hmm.
just let me know.
I will.
Um, for me, 6 years ago, I left. And for me, the reason I left, I wanted to leave for about 3 years before I actually took the leap. Um, and I had this moment. My son was born over 6 years ago, and I was out on this hike. I was watching the sunset, and it was a beautiful moment. I was a new father. I had a new business I was building. There was a lot of inspiration, and I was feeling just really grateful. But as I'm watching the sunset from up on top of the mountain, I live on Salt Spring Island, British Columbia, up here in Canada, and I had this experience where instead of experiencing the sunset in that moment and the gratitude, I was all of a sudden, I caught my mind writing the post in my head about that moment, which took me out of the moment. And I just had this epiphany of like, my thoughts are no longer my thoughts. Like, this
Mm.
part of my brain has been hacked that is getting me to want to put myself forward in a certain way on social media, and that was the last straw for me. And literally the next day I made a post saying, this is it, I'm leaving, which was it was very scary for me. I mean, I was building a brand new branch of my business. I just had a child. I was the provider for my family. Social media was my marketing strategy at that time for growing my business. And I was really terrified about it, but I knew it was something that I had to do. I've been thinking about it a long time, and so I deleted my accounts.
Wow.
So the reasons were clear for me. I felt like it was controlling me. It was draining my energy. It was no longer a fun thing, and I had to figure out how I could grow my business without it, how I could live with more freedom and spaciousness in my life. Um, some of the things that being away from it now, I feel like I'm outside looking in. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creators, educators, and it's clear that social media in the beginning is different than what social media is now. Rather than connect us, it divides us. Rather than being inspired, people feel more anxious. Rather than building friendships, we get followers, which is a really strange thing. Rather than creating more connection, we have more loneliness than ever before. Rather than feeling safe to share our thoughts and feelings, we censor them or they're censored for us. And rather than being free, we become addicted to our devices. So these are just some of the reasons that I've seen pop up again and again and again from working with entrepreneurs around why people want to leave social media. So leaving was a very interesting experience. So I delete my accounts, I'm off social media, and it truthfully it felt like I erased myself from the culture that I was in. It wasn't like friends started picking up the phone and being like, "Yo, Bradley, what's up, man? We're having a party this weekend. Come to the party." Or people weren't texting me and checking in. It was literally like a void. There was this massive void that went on for months. And we just had a baby. We were living on an island for we'd only been here for a few years. So it was still relatively new. We didn't have a lot of friendships. And it wasn't like people were picking up the phone and calling me. It wasn't like people were reaching out via text and email. And it felt like I was erased. And I realized if I am going to allow my business to survive, and if I'm going to live the life that I want, I have to be a leader in my community. I have to be a leader in my business, and I have to go back to the old-fashioned ways of doing business and remembering what some of those older principles and philosophies are. I've come to realize that the world doesn't need more social media. And if people can take a guess on what we might need more of in the world, especially after the last several years, it's more social connection. We need more people getting together, more people connecting authentically, whether it is on Zoom or whether it is in real life or picking up the phone and calling people, but people being more human again. So I have this little formula that I always like to ask is how much time do people spend on social media? And oftentimes I'll get, if there's anybody in the chat, feel free to share, like, how much time a week are you on social media? I would say the most common is people spending about 10 to 15 hours a week on any given social media platform. That could be creating content, scrolling the wall, posting content, engaging with people. And then I always like to ask, like, how much money do you figure you're generating? Most entrepreneurs I talk to are barely making any money, if any, off of social media. So they're putting in 40, 60 plus hours per month into social media. And then I always ask the kicker of a question is like, how satisfied are you? Is it fulfilling for you to be on these social media platforms? And I get to ask, on a scale of 1 to 10, how fulfilled are you in the social media space? And most people, are below a 5 out of 10 on social media, which just shows me like, okay, you've been doing this for how many years? You're barely making any money on it. You spent how many hundreds of hours on social media? Don't you think it's time for a change?
Yeah, and real quick before you go to
Yeah,
that next point, the 10 to 15 hours or more, that's a lot of time to
it's a
be.
lot of time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for the people that are struggling to make money, I can understand why it can be so frustrating and why finding other alternatives to be able to, have a better like a better work-life balance for one, and to
Yeah.
actually make money in your business is really important.
And if you are getting some results and some engagement, then and you want to stick it out on social media, because there are some benefits, then talk to somebody like you, Chris, because you can help them utilize that time in a more efficient way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so my question is always, well, what would you do with all that extra time? Let's just say you're working 10 hours a week on social media between scrolling, posting, and making content for it. That's 40 hours a month. What would you do with that 40 hours a month? There's so much that we could do. You could change your marketing strategy completely. You could devote your time to learning guitar. Since you're wasting the time on social media, you might as well do something productive that lifts you up and makes you satisfied. So what could you do with all that time? So anybody that's watching or listening to this now or in the future, just pause it for a moment. Write down some of the things you would do if you had 40 to 60 hours of reclaimed time for yourself to grow your business, to increase your revenue, or to just spend that time with your family.
I was just about to say that that was one of the first things that came to my mind too, having more time for the people that you care about that truly make you happy, because there's this hustle culture right now where
Yeah.
everyone feels like they have to be grinding it out, and it is a time suck. So this
Yeah.
is such helpful information. I love it.
It's big time suck, and it's not necessary. It doesn't have to be that way. So for me, 6 years later, after being erased, I had to rediscover the type of life that I wanted to live. I have way more time for myself. My work days are typically 6 hours. They used to be 9 to 12 hours a day. I have way more time for adventures. I have literally increased my revenue for Majik Media every single year. I play professional golf as my passion hobby. I play golf 6 days a week, first thing in the morning, exercising. I have more family time. I'm, living my dream life. I also started, because loneliness was a real thing for me, being a new dad and living on this new island. I started a club on my island here called Man Ventures. And every Monday we get together, whatever guys show up, decide what the adventure is the week after, and we can't do the same thing 2 times in a row. We've had some of the most incredible adventures over the last 5.5 years since I started that club. And it's laid back. It's awesome. I mean, some weeks it's story writing, other weeks it's hiking, other weeks it's dressing up as pirates, getting in canoes, and taking foam swords to a random island to search for treasure and have a sword fight. So it's a little bit of everything, but it's built village for me. We do work parties for each other. If a man's having a baby, we'll go chop their winter's wood, firewood for them. We'll do, house cleaning parties for somebody. We've done some work parties recently where we help our buddies, 6 guys show up and we help them build their tiny home. It's created this really beautiful sense of community in my life that's been way more fulfilling than any of the social media groups I've ever participated in.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's been my life. Now, everybody's sitting here is like, great. If I left social media, how do I build my business? How do I succeed? So it's one word. Every year I create a theme on New Year's Eve on what is the theme? What is my mantra going to be for this year? And this word that I'm about to share with you, this was my mantra. This was my word, my theme 2 years in a row after I left social media. It was very, very important for me to just think about this every single day. And that word is relationships. How do I cultivate relationships? How do I leverage relationships? How do I maintain positive, uplifting relationships, both in person and online, with clients, with partners, with allies? What do I need to do to leverage relationships and maintain them in a healthy way so that my business can thrive and I can thrive? Because if we're thriving, our businesses can thrive. And so now I'm going to get into, I think there's 10 different strategies. Some of them you've heard of, others you definitely have not heard of, that have consistently generated me revenue over the course of the years by leveraging relationships. So this is where you should get out your notepad and start, because the inspiration is going to start to come, and the tangible, practical solutions for building your business without social media. So number one is email marketing. I mean, this is obvious, but your email list is gold. This is your direct link, your direct contact with the outer world, with your clients. So it doesn't matter if your email list is 50 people or your email list is 50,000 people. Your email list is your relationship with your audience, your most direct relationship with your audience. So if you're one of those people who's inconsistent with sending emails to your audience, knock it off. You got to be emailing these people. You're building a relationship. Even if you don't have something to say, then ask them questions, engage in them and be like, hey, I don't have much to say today, but I would love to know what's happening in your world. What are you focused on? What are you doing? Send me an email. Let's chat. And you would not believe what happens when you start to love on your email list. So email marketing is one of the most important things you can be doing. You need to be building an email list regularly. You need to treat that list like gold. Don't just send them marketing emails. Number two, what you're watching right now is my signature workshop. My email list in the last 6 months has grown by over 2,500 people. This is my 7th time delivering this specific business without social media workshop. I encourage every creator that comes into my creators club, every client or partner that we work with at MAJIK Media, everybody needs a signature workshop that introduces people to your work. Because going on somebody's podcast, you could inspire somebody who's a regular listener on that podcast, but the chances of them listening to your podcast episode, going to your website and paying you money is pretty slim. I mean, think about all the podcasts you yourself have listened to, but never took action on. However, having somebody like Chris host me for a workshop, you're now getting to go through a transformational experience. You're getting to have tangible results because I'm not just talking and telling them the story. I'm like giving you some results here if you follow these steps. Now you're way more likely to go to my website. So if you create your own signature workshop and then you tour that around to other people's virtual stages, it's way more likely that people are going to come have that powerful experience with you, get introduced to your work, and then you can invite them to go deeper with you in some other form, whether it's signing up for your course, your community, whatever it might be. So everybody needs a signature workshop. It could be 60 minutes, 90 minutes with a Q&A. Today, this is a 60-minute workshop with a little bit of time for questions at the end. So create a signature workshop and then start reaching out to other teachers and leaders saying, hey, I've got this workshop. This is the results it'll provide. I think your students or your audience would be really stoked on this. Would you be interested in hosting me? You'd be surprised at how many yeses you get. Next one's guest appearances. So this could be podcasts, this could be guest teaching, it could be guest blogging. I used to, when I was teaching, I taught 500 meditation workshops over the course of 3 years between 2009, 2012. And I guest blogged all the time. Every week I made a goal to write an article. I had a spreadsheet with over 50 different kind of new age meditation focused blogs. I'd submit the same article to all of them. And then sometimes I get 3, sometimes I get 5, sometimes more would publish those. And guest appearances are still great. Going on people's podcasts is still great. You can still get a lot of exposure. And I would still say it's worth your time and energy, but more powerful is a signature workshop. But guest appearances are still a wonderful thing. Next is licensing. I've never heard anybody else teaching this subject. This has been a massive moneymaker for me. So as I said, 500 meditation workshops. In 2012, I spent almost 2 years producing a 48-track meditation library with my buddy. Each track with custom composed music. It's world-class quality. I have licensed those same meditations across about 8 different apps over the years. I've generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in passive income through selling that meditation library to a bunch of different apps. I'm literally selling this same thing across multiple platforms. They pay me monthly, annually, quarterly. Sometimes they'll buy my library outright. Sometimes they'll pay me a profit share. So whatever industry you're in, for me, meditation, there's so many different meditation apps. I mean, I have a spreadsheet with over 100 that we reach out to every 6 or so months to see if they're ready to license more tracks. But like, for example, in our creators club, Jennifer, one of our creators, she has several like birthing and doula related courses. So her strategy is reaching out right now to all these different governing bodies in the doula and birthing space to license her courses that she's created that are amazing, to turn them into curriculum that becomes a part of these schools. Because most of the online schools that you may see on the internet, they're not producing world-class courses. If you could produce something that's amazing, you may be able to find some licensing partners. My first, one of our first clients that we had at Majik Media years ago, we produced this really amazing flagship course that she was going into corporations to teach and facilitate over 6 months, and we turned it into an evergreen course. Her first client paid her $26,000 to license the course so that they could distribute it to all of their employees. Licensing is a massive opportunity to license what you're creating to another company. Now, they may white label it, meaning they put all their branding and packaging on it. You'll probably still get credit for it. I get credit for all my meditations across all the platforms I'm on. They may keep your branding. They may just have you become a teacher inside of their platform and use your content. There's a lot of ways that it works. Non-exclusive licensing means you can basically license the same products across many platforms. Exclusive, which you would charge way more money for, means that they get the sole rights to whatever that product is. With Majik Kids, our kids publishing company, I mean, we're licensing all sorts of, we're writing, licensing stories, we're licensing music libraries, imagination meditations for kids. So like my whole business model with Majik Kids is we are a production company, but we're also licensing a lot of amazing content for kids for the app that we're building right now. Next up is profit sharing. So profit sharing is a little bit different. My Majik Media business model, about 5 years ago, I went from doing client work, which was really draining for me because we would do these massive workloads for 6 months to produce a course or build an online library, do a launch and all these things. And we'd help our clients, generate all this newfound revenue. And I would be just burnt right out by the time I got done. And so I shifted the model because I am entrepreneurial spirited and I like to see the reward from the hard work that I put in. And so instead, Majik Media now, instead of doing client work, we do partnerships where it's a 3-year commitment. And our partners, when we go to like produce an online course and build an online membership or community and go through a whole launch process, we do a revenue share. So they pay a deposit, so they have skin in the game. And then our partners will do a rev share. So a lot of the times it's, a $15,000 deposit instead of paying, $50,000 to $100,000. And then we will do a revenue share of 25, 30% for 3 years where we stay on the team. We train their team to use all the tools we're going to develop. And then we stay on the team supporting them with their marketing strategy over time. We support them with, cultivating more products and providing more value for their audience. And that's been life-changing for me. This is, right now we have 7 or 8 active partnerships for Majik Media, with more coming, and those become revenue streams that become more passive after the heavy lifting is done. Next is collaborative. So, if you don't have a massive bank account of funds, the way that I built Majik Media in the beginning was I had these ideas for courses. I had some friends one buddy who was an amazing techie at building platforms and doing just beautiful design work. I had another buddy who was a great videographer. Both of them were working shitty jobs. I pitched them on producing this course and this membership and called the Great E-Course Adventure, which is kind of like Indiana Jones meets Saturday Night Live meets business school. And we spent 9 months working together. We revenue shared and we worked together. We made something that never could have been created if we hadn't worked together. It was a really transformational, life-changing experience for all of us. And I would say, how many people out there, do you know any amazing, talented artists that are working jobs they don't like, that maybe they could work part-time on the thing that you're spearheading right now and contribute, and you all get to win? They make a percentage of the revenue that you generate from the thing that you collaborate on, and you don't pay any money down. And you all invest in it as equal creators on the project. There's a lot of creative ways that you can go about doing it. I've had to learn to get very creative in how I enroll people into the projects that I want, because, you know, certain times as an entrepreneur, funds might not be as high as they are other times, and you got to be creative. You can't just stop the vision. You got to be like, okay, what's the best way with the least path of resistance to move this thing forward? Collaborating with others is a beautiful thing. There's a lot of talented artists out there doing things they don't like, and if you can enroll them in your vision that aligns with their values and what they want for their future, you can make beautiful things together. Next up is affiliate marketing. I mean, we all know about this. Somebody promotes your stuff and you give them a percentage of the sales that they send your way. You know, we do this with a lot of our partnership projects. We'll find a handful of affiliates to support with the launch, and then they make some money. It might be 10%, 20%, 50%. Depends on the product, depends on the industry. Next, we're doing this with Majik Kids. So sponsorships are great. If you have an audience for your podcast, or you have an audience for, you know, your streaming platform that you have, or your social media, or you're building an event or leading a retreat, or you're teaching a workshop, and you've got enough eyeballs that you can guarantee a sponsor, you can get money from sponsorships. You can get donated products and services from sponsorships. Sponsorships are great if you have a bit of an audience. Figure out who your most values aligned, product aligned sponsors could be, and approach them and see if you can spark up a deal. A lot of the times you can get a yes.
Sponsorships are great. That's actually one of my streams of income, and was something that really was instrumental in me being able to leave a 9 to 5 that really didn't serve me. And it can be a really great stream of income, like you said, if you have an audience and pitching yourself to get those opportunities instead of just waiting for them to come to you are really great. I love sponsorships.
It's beautiful, and it's easy enough, you know, to do an attractive sponsorship package inside of Canva or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And then this is the last one. So some people say YouTube social media. I don't think YouTube social media at all. I look at it more as entertainment and education. Something I've been really geeking out on, because I'm not on TikTok or doing Insta or Facebook or anything like that, is I have a new golf channel called Body Mind Swing, and I did like a 30-day YouTube challenge in back in February, and I was just like, it was a daily YouTube short after, you know, not doing YouTube stuff for a long time, minus my like coaching stuff and podcast episodes and that. And what this was for my business channel. And what surprised me is that the golf videos that I was posting were the most fun for me to create. And all of them had the best stats. And I'm like, well, I've been thinking about this body, mind, swing thing for years. I'm just going to make a YouTube channel. I'm like 90 days straight of doing YouTube shorts now, and I'm having a blast. My YouTube channel, I mean, I think I've done, since March 1st, when I launched the channel, I have somewhere around 50-ish videos. I have about 60 subscribers, over 30,000 views, but I'm having a blast. I mean, this is like, I could be doing this anyways, and I'm not trying to monetize that, but YouTube shorts is great. YouTube's really trying to reward people for doing shorts because of TikTok and Instagram. And if TikTok goes away, because all the stuff that's happening in the courts right now, YouTube shorts is definitely going to be a place where everybody's going to go to do their TikToking. So something to pay attention to. It's easy. I use an app called CapCut to do all my editing. I don't remember if we talked about CapCut, Chris. Did we?
We did talk about CapCut. I use CapCut too for I love it. It has so many different features that you can utilize, the text, graphics, all of that. But
yeah,
YouTube Shorts for sure. YouTube by far, in my opinion, is the best platform. Google owns it. It is evergreen. People are always going to YouTube to search for solutions, to educate themselves, to get entertainment, like you were saying with the golf stuff. And it's interesting how you wanted to try something fun, you created some content, and your audience is telling you that you like it, they like it, you know, that you're getting that data and all those views. And I love YouTube. I absolutely love it.
I'm definitely a YouTuber as well. I enjoy I've been really enjoying the creative process of like just sharing something I'm ridiculously passionate about.
So important
And
to
do it in a creative and artistic way. like just going out on the course and shooting my B-roll and do my voiceover, adding some music. And it's also like my story of following me as I pursue professional golf.
That's
So
awesome.
that's been fun. Yeah. So there you have it. I mean, there's 10 different things. And then for Majik Kids, this is our plan. These are all the different things that we're doing. So we're selling at bookstores. We're selling my golf story to golf courses. We work with artists, voice actors, musicians, illustrators, authors, meditation guides. So finding more influential folks that are going to contribute, doing press kits to mainstream media, generosity marketing. So giving books away to organizations, schools, etc. Social media. So we are working with a company called the Harmon Brothers. They're some of the best comedy ad writers in the world. So they do hilarious sketches. Their YouTube channel, I think, has 1.5 billion views from ads that they've done with over $800 million of revenue. So we're writing a ton of comedy ads right now for when we launch our Majik Kids app, which is so much fun to be writing comedy. And so we'll be putting those up on all the platforms, and then whichever platform and videos are performing the best, we'll pour ads money into those. We do market booths. We have the biggest artisanal market in the Pacific Northwest here on Salt Spring Island. So we have a booth there in the summer times. Connecting with influencers. So sending out book bundles to different parenting influencers on the internet. We do our newsletter, etc. So like, here's a whole bunch of other things that we're doing for the Majik Kids side of things. So for everybody out there, here's the little formula to see, are you wasting your time? Is it time well spent if you're on social media? So how much money do you make from social media? Is it $1,000? Is it $500? This is kind of a monthly question. Just ballpark it, write down the number. Is it $0? And then divide that by the number of hours you're on social media. Is it 10? Is it 40? Is it 5? Is it 60? Is it 80? And then what is the dollar per hour rate you're getting paid for putting your energy and time into social media? And if you're not making at least $100 an hour for every hour spent on social media, then you should probably rethink your strategy, because it's not worth your time and energy, and there's other things you could be doing. Let's just say it is 50 hours a month that you're putting to social media. Any one of these strategies that I just went through here, you could put that 50 hours a month into email marketing. You could tour your signature workshop on 6 virtual stages a month. You could be doing guest appearances and outreach, licensing your stuff, creating new courses and content, creating a profit share model, collaborating with others, coming up with workshops and workshop series or retreats or whatever else. You could be doing affiliate marketing. You could be finding sponsors to put money into what it is you're building. You could be spending time creating really awesome creative YouTube shorts. There's so many things you could be doing with that time. And if you're not getting paid through social media, rethink your strategy. Spend some time doing it. How social media can work, and I'm sure you can advocate for this, Chris, is social media can work if you actually have a legitimate strategy. If you're just kind of like throwing stuff at the wall and you're showing up and you're inconsistent, then it may not work. It may not be worth it. If you have a schedule, so pre-scheduling your stuff, batching your content creation, batching your time to schedule everything, having discipline so that you don't get sucked down the wall and
That's so
scroll
important.
mindlessly. This is the hardest one. I mean, those programs, doesn't matter how mentally tough you are. These apps, these social media sites, they're engineered to make you addicted to them.
And spend lots and
very good.
lots of time on them. I don't know if we talked about this when I don't think we did, but I think that a lot of people are surprised when I say that I'm very intentional when I use social media. When I'm logging on to it, it's either to upload my content, engage, or reply to comments, and then I'm off. And I'm also like past 9 p.m., I don't really go on there very much, or I'll go
Yeah.
on there to look for ideas, but just scrolling mindlessly all day is such a colossal waste of time.
It really is. It really is. And I mean that it's so with this Majik Kids thing, a lot of our reasoning behind building an audio story app is because it steals our imagination and creativity away. The feed, I mean, you think about the news feed, it's feeding your consciousness, it's feeding your imagination, it's telling you what to think, it's telling you what to buy. And if we're not vigilant with our energy and our intentions, and we're not protective of our conscience, it gets in there and it takes away our creativity and our ability to make beautiful things in the world. So it's really important to have some form of discipline around these devices and these platforms. I mean, my family has a phone box, and my kid Sauryn, he's 6 now. He calls us. He's like, "Hey, you're done work. Go put your phone in the phone box. Let's play." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, let's do that. That's way better than checking my damn emails again." And then the other thing, how social media can work is have a teammate do it for you. You don't have to be in there. Have a teammate. If
Of
there's a
course.
really important conversation, they can just tell you and be like, "Hey, you should log into your social media later. Somebody messaged you and you might want to be the one to respond to them." But other than that, you don't need to be the one. You can hire somebody to do that. So we also, Majik Media, we use Mighty Networks a lot. So Mighty Networks basically allows you to build your own social media site. You can have your online community. You can have courses, online programs. You can live stream through it. There's a lot of different business models that you can do inside of a Mighty Network. So if you haven't heard of Mighty Networks, check it out. It might be the right solution for you to take your audience out of your social media group and bring them over and build your own private space. And what's wonderful about Mighty Networks is it's a focused space where everybody comes into your community for the same reason and purpose. Whereas, trying to hold a group for an online course or something like that in a Facebook group where it's like they can go from watching a cat video to battling trolls and bullies on the internet to like doing some deep work with you. It's not a congruent space for people to go through a transformation and have a real experience of community. So I would encourage you, in closing, give yourself a gift, reevaluate your marketing strategy. I would encourage you to get a journal, go for a long walk this weekend, and spend a few hours just reimagining what marketing could look like for you. Leave your phone at home so that you're not distracted, and really go deep into some of the things that may have pinged you today and be like, okay, if I was to change my strategy, what would it be? And then do a 90-day challenge. Change it for 90 days. Evaluate your relationship with social. Decide if it works for you and your business to continue with social media. Spend a day making a new plan, and leave if you must. Protect your time and consciousness. I mean, our brains are under attack. We're constantly bombarded with way too much information, way too much fear. We need to take that back and be sovereign people. And one of the ways you can do this is to focus on cultivating real relationships in the real world. And it feels good. That's old news. If anybody's interested, come check out our Creators Club. And it's a great place to be creatively inspired and be supported from idea to launch again and again.
Definitely, you guys
And
check that out.
and please share this masterclass on your social media, because I can't.
You are too funny.
The end and the beginning.
Okay. Well, I have a few questions. Okay, someone said, I don't know if you can read the comments. Someone said, I struggle with creativity. Where do you get your creative writing ideas?
Oh man. Cannabis is nice for me. I go in for walks and exercising. So I'll go on how I've come up with a lot of my best ideas, most creative ideas, is I'll have an intention of like, I got to figure this out. I got to come up with a workshop idea. I have to come up with a new business model. I need to come up with some comedy ads. Like this morning, I spent all morning writing comedy. It was fucking awesome.
Mm.
So what I'll do is I get my journal,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll go for a walk with the question in mind of like, what is it I'm trying to figure out? And I'll just go for a long walk. Whether if you
Mm-hmm.
live in a city, go walk the streets, and like just without any intention of where you're going, and just walk. I find my brain works best when I'm in motion.
We are
I
twinning
never,
right now. I have the
yeah,
same thing. When I walk, I can think so much more clearly. It's interesting.
yeah. I mean, our bodies are made to do that. The worst thing to do for creativity is to open a Word document and sit in front of a blank screen.
Mm.
The other thing I do, I mean, my kid's 6. He's my business partner. He's the creative director at MAJIK Kids. And so I pass things by him, especially related to that company, the marketing strategies. Building the app was his idea. The other day we had 12, 15 different comedy sketch ideas, and we're laying on the couch and he's laying on my chest and we're going through all the different sketch ideas, and he's throwing his ideas in, and he's volunteered to be different characters in the sketches. And it's like, it was very inspiring. So if anybody out there has kids, get your kids involved.
That's awesome.
They're amazing. Kids are geniuses. They see things we can't. They're so infinitely creative. So
They
you have
are.
kids, tap into their creativity and their childlike wonder.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I find pen to paper for first drafts is always the most beneficial, getting off the screen. The other thing for creative ideas is like, you have to schedule it. One of my mantras is schedule your success. So if you've
That's a
got a
good one.
creative project, then schedule in 2 or 3 hours, because sometimes, if you're not used to tapping into the muse, the creative spirit that's inside of all of us that's waiting to give us our ideas, sometimes it takes a bit of time to warm up and like to get those creative channels flowing. It is a practice of cultivation.
Mm.
And again, like, get off social media if you need to come up with ideas. That's the last place you should be. You should be shutting down YouTube, shutting down all your social platforms, and tapping into your own mind.
I love that. And then another question is, how long until you see results from consistent email marketing? That's a good question.
I mean, it depends on how big your list is. It depends on what you're doing. Consistency is the key. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be consistent. I learned that when I did my 500 meditation workshops. It's like I saw people come and go that were like starting a teaching practice. And what set me versus them apart is they quit before they saw results.
It's like the
So,
meme, the guy digging for the gold. Have you ever seen that meme where
yeah,
right before he hits the gold, he's like, F it, I'm done.
I
I'm not
give
doing
up.
this. Yep.
Yeah, and I think the thing about email marketing, like we did a launch a couple years ago for a woman, and she had 130 people on her email list, and she
Mm.
made almost $40,000 from that launch.
Woo,
And
good job.
so the thing is, like, it's not about the quantity; it's about the quality. It's not
Mm-hmm.
about how many friends you have in the world. It's about the quality of friends you have in the world that makes the quality of your life. It's
Exactly.
not about how many people are on your email list. It's about the quality of people.
And that's why
Rethink your
targeting too. I don't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off.
No, it's
Targeting,
fine.
knowing your audience and speaking to that audience instead of trying to market to everyone.
Yeah.
Because if you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one. But yeah,
Yeah.
just speaking to a specific audience as well. We have another question. I have so many creative ideas and niches I can target. My problem is packaging and precise marketing. How do you do that?
Get a coach. Get somebody to help you to pull all of these things in. It just seems like, if you're scattered and you're all over the place, you probably just need like a little bit of feedback to be like, oh, go with this, like this is
Mm-hmm.
what the path you should be on. Having somebody else, because it can be hard when
Mm-hmm.
when you got all these moving parts, and this is like what it's like. It's like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, I have these people, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, just have a conversation with a coach for an
Mm-hmm.
hour or 2 hours, or a friend that's in the same industry. Like, okay, I have these options. Here's the different ideas I have rolling around of who I could serve and what I could offer them. What do you feel would be the best course of action, or which one of these do you think I should go with first? And then I would
Mm-hmm.
say stick to one thing and do it all the way, and then you can always do another thing, but like
Mm-hmm.
try to stay focused on like the
One
most
thing.
important next
Yeah.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get it
And
done way quicker.
yeah, focus on one thing and be consistent with it, and also audience research as well is
Yeah.
really helpful. Asking people, you mentioned something earlier that I do too, is you ask questions in your email list. If you're not sure, you can just ask your audience. They'll tell you what it is that they're most interested in. And if you're creating content, just like with your golf stuff, you notice that you're getting certain amount of engagements with certain types of videos, like your
Yeah.
audience and data will tell you a lot. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, because a lot of my audience, they are coaches and consultants, service-based businesses, and a lot of people want to learn more about workshops and how to monetize them. what are some good places to target, or what's the best way to go about that if they have some skills and they're like, hey, I want to try doing workshops? How do you go about that? What does that process look like?
Um, this year is a year of workshops. I actually have a workshop coming up on building workshops called the Fast Cash Crash Course, which is a
Okay.
silly name. It's going to be 12 weeks, and in the 12 weeks, you're going to come up with a 4-week course that you're going to offer your audience. You're going to build your sales page, build your marketing channels. You're going to create your marketing strategy and execute on it. And then you're going to deliver it, and it's going to be over the course of 12 weeks. So, I mean, ultimately, it's, you can come up with all these ideas. My mantra is ABC, always be creating. If you don't have a workshop that you're selling all the time, you need to book your calendar. Like, look at your calendar 12 months in advance. Think of all the things that you want to create. And then the only person that can book those in and build them is you. So always be creating, because if you don't have one or two or multiple landing points for when you're out in the world having conversations with people on social media, if you don't have these portals for people to like come experience you and pay you money, then you get yourself into a hard spot. And so have, like, if you know 1 or 2 or 3 workshops, book them all over the course of the next 9 months. Have a new workshop that you're creating and promoting every 2 or 3 or 4 months, depending on how long the series are. And use your signature workshop that we talked about earlier as your way to fill up those paid workshops and workshop series.
What types of businesses do you find show the most interest in virtual workshops, like from your experience?
I mean, I've worked with people in every type of industry. It's just like, I don't know if there's a type. I mean, if you're coaching and teaching people new skills, create workshops around it. It doesn't really matter what the industry is. Yeah. I mean, we work with, I work with people that are like in the online marketing space, people that are doing like birthing and doula work, people that are producers, people that are like educators of science, educators of magic. Like, there's so many different things. Like, what is a skill that your audience would want to learn, and how can you facilitate that transformation for them?
That's awesome. And let's see if there's how often should you do email marketing to your list?
I
Is
mean,
another
email your
question.
list every week. Every week. Provide them value. Have conversations with them. Invite them to, like just an office hours of like, hey, I'm going to be hanging out on Zoom at this time. Come hang out with me. Tell them stories about your life. Tell them life lessons you're learning. Be a human for
It
them.
doesn't even always have to be selling either. I
No,
think a lot of people get that confused. In fact, that will probably annoy people if that's all you're trying to do. But tell
definitely.
your stories, your life lessons, what's going on behind the scenes. And if you do that once or twice a week, then people will start to engage with you a lot more. But
Yeah.
definitely every week, like Bradley says, for sure.
I send out 1 or 2 a week. Usually it's like, podcast interview, or it might be a video, or it might be like some coaching tips. Usually, like, oftentimes kind of in the bottom section of my emails are like the links to all the things that I'm selling, and people can click on those, but they're soft sells. If I'm doing a launch, I'll do hard sells. But if it's just like regular day-to-day stuff, it's then the soft sells, it's all in the bottom. They can get the information and click if they want.
Thank you. Oh, someone said, oh, the page is super awesome. I think we went through all of the questions. So can you, again, just once again, for anyone who makes it to the end of this video, just tell my audience how they can get in contact with you, or the best way to learn more about your services?
Yeah, you can just go to majikmedia.com, MAJIK media.com, and check out the Creators Club. If you're interested in just one-to-one coaching, just reach out direct. You can also check out our partnership page if you're interested in that model. And then for any of the parents, grandparents that might be tuning in right now, go check out Majik Kids for a whole bunch of epic audio stories, MAJIKkids.com.
Thank you. That is awesome. Oh, someone wants to ask one more question before
Yeah,
we go. Is that okay?
for
They
sure.
said, if you had to choose which one would you say between one-to-one or workshops as a coach starting out? That's a great question.
I would say both. I mean, you give people the option. You do group coaching, you do one-to-one coaching. The one-to-one stuff, I mean, I would suggest like designing a package of some sort where you are taking people on some form of transformational journey, whether it's like, we're going to do 5 sessions and this is what that journey looks like over the
Mhm.
course of say 10 weeks or something like that. For if you're doing workshops, a really like great intro, I see some people like their first intro workshops is like a 9-week series or something. Start with something that's like a 3 to 4 week series, something that's like it's lower entry. So they might pay $200. They might pay up to $500 for like a 4-week series where you take them through on a journey. Start with something like that. Think about a 3 to 4 week series if you're going to be teaching a workshop series. And 100% everybody who's watching this right now, create your signature workshop that is like the gateway into the world of the work that you do. Guide them through a transformation. And at the end of it, spend a little bit of time inviting them to whatever service it is you're offering, which for me right now, I'm inviting you to the Creators Club if you want to work together and be coached around your business.
That
That's my
is
commercial.
that is awesome. I thought I saw something about licensing, but I don't know where the question went. That was a really licensing. That was the first time I've actually heard someone mention that. I've heard of like Udemy and some of the other like places where you can sell your courses, but if I find it, I'll ask you later and maybe get back to that person. I don't see it anymore.
License. So, I mean, let's just say you're a teacher and you've got, I mean, audio is an amazing medium for transforming people's lives because you bring them inside of themselves instead of when they watch a video, they're outside of themselves watching a video. So if you have audio content, just Google search. Like for me is like meditation apps,
Mhm.
mindfulness apps, hypnosis apps, presence apps. You can find oodles and oodles of apps that exist. And then you just create an outreach email. You show them some samples of your work. And oftentimes they'll get back to you with a yes or a no.
That is super cool. Thank you for dropping all of these gems. I mean, if anyone who joined later and you missed the first half of this, this is actually going to be on my YouTube channel for you guys to check out and watch it in its entirety. But just make sure that, take notes. And if you have any other questions, make sure you hit up Mr. Bradley Morris. He is awesome. And I really appreciate you taking this time today to share all this information with my audience. It's so, so helpful.
Thank you, Chris. And my question for you is what was your top takeaway from the different strategies?
Oh my goodness. The two that really is getting my cranks turning is the licensing and the
Yeah.
workshops. And it's funny that we're having this conversation because my mom has been trying to get me to do workshops for the past maybe 3 months. And I'm overthinking the process. I'm
Yeah.
just, who do I go to? Am I supposed to be charging for virtual? Because people that I've mentioned it to said that you shouldn't be charging for virtual. People assume that it should be free. And then I just got overwhelmed and I was just like, forget it. I don't even want to do it. So, um, a lot that I still need to figure out with the workshops. I get so many people that get so much value from my information. And I think workshops could be helpful, but just applying that strategy and knowing the right direction, it's been hard to find the right information with that for sure.
Hmm. Signature workshop. Sounds like you could definitely do something similar to what this is to bring people in and show them kind of like what's possible
Hmm.
through the work that you do and give them a result, help them have an epiphany. And then whatever the invitation is after that. I mean, I could see you doing a workshop series where, each week is supporting people to create a really solid social media strategy where they make their plan, a different part of their plan each week, and maybe even incorporating some of the more lifestyle things that you focus on inside of your own life to be disciplined and to be focus your energy so that you're not just scrolling the wall all the time and wasting all that time.
Yes, yes, yes. This has been so much valuable information. I'm excited. I'm sure everyone who popped through and watched, I mean, all of the questions are amazing. And this has been great. I've been looking forward to this. So,
Me too.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
glad
yeah.
it's helpful. If anybody has any more questions, just reach out. You can get my email on the website. And thank you so much for hosting me. It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, we are going to wrap this up. But if you have any questions, you can comment down below on the video, or you can hit up Mr. Bradley Morris or me on @Crush It with Chris. And thanks for watching. Bye.